Welcome to the 5th episode of Mol België Season 13 Recaps from Reality TV Warriors. My name is Michael Harmstone, and joining me for our 550th episode, as always, is the Canadian who has permanently changed how we look at pumping gas, Logan Saunders.
Good afternoon.
And the guy who we just assume when we're talking to him that he's a dull-sized version of a normal human being, David Bindley.
Good morning.
Good morning. Have you had good weeks?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I can't complain as much as I probably should, but yeah, it wasn't too bad overall.
How was the Minecraft movie, Saunders?
I don't know. I was supposed to go, and then about an hour before I was going to take my an hour before I was going to take my nephew there, that plan got cancelled because he forgot he had a school project to do.
I've woken up and chosen violence. I'm just trying to cause trouble in your family now, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what he does every day.
Yeah, not content with ruining your friendships earlier in the season. I'm going for your family now.
Well, it is the loved ones visit episode.
Yeah, good point.
All he's going to have left soon is his pets.
And I mean, I've not got much really to write home about. I've been struggling with my back for 5 days at this point, and I'm just kind of getting out of it, I think. I've literally just come back from my mum's birthday meal as well, because it's her birthday tomorrow.
Oh, happy birthday to her.
Yeah, so because the pup goes to puppy training on a Wednesday, we decided to have her birthday meal on a Tuesday.
Oh.
And I don't know whether I told you guys this, but my little nephew's in a little bit of trouble with his puppy trainer.
The puppy trainer should realize he's a very good boy trying his hardest.
Absolutely. I had to go with my brother last week because mum and dad were away. And like 5 minutes into the session, this little yappy bastard dog came in and set him off. He barked back and then got sent out as a result of it. And I would be the first to tell him if he was in the wrong, but he was not in the wrong for it. He was just defending his pack. This little yappy bastard deserved it.
To be fair, the little yappy bastard deserved it is kind of the motto of this podcast.
Yeah, and on the subject of little yappy bastards, can I also say anyone who's listening who has atted me today about Stephen Fry still being ruined for celebrity traitors, fuck all the way off. I don't care. You obviously have me living rent-free in your head saying that they couldn't afford him. It's not confirmed yet, and in fact, half of the rumours aren't even in this rumoured cast. So, bugger off, leave me alone.
Was Courtney Cox busy doing her hair?
Well, this is what I mean. There was people like Courtney Cox, Jennifer Saunders, Bob Mortimer. All of those were on the rumoured list, and my argument was they're not going to have all these people on the rumoured list because they won't be able to afford them. Maybe I did go a bit gung-ho about Stephen Fry not being on because I thought he was above this sort of show, but if he's still rumoured, maybe he's the big money grab, other than Celia Imrie.
He's doing Jeopardy. He's not above this sort of shit.
Yeah, good point, well made. I do find it quite fun that of the 19 people on the rumoured cast, I have met 2 of them, and they were both lovely, though. Albeit Alan Carr was not the one who called me a pussy.
Yeah, you know they're super famous people in the cast if they've met you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's a certain caliber of celebrity. Celia Imrie, absolute Z-list. She's not met me. Stephen Fry and Alan Carr definitely have.
So what you're saying is less side men, more Gilles de Costa.
Exactly. That's the level we are going for. And off the back of last week as well, I do have to point out that given last week was Papa Noel's, it does make this week the first Noel's. Therefore, Merry Christmas, everyone, and a happy Groundhog Day to Daniel Peake.
Happy Groundhog Day, buddy.
Anything else before we get into this episode?
No.
No. I'm ready to talk about it.
Good. Final question from me then. Have either of you caught up on Traitors Quebec yet?
I have not.
I still have to watch season 1.
Well, that's what I meant. I mean, season 1 would have been acceptable, Saunders. The 4th episode has literally just been subtitled as we were waiting for you to come. So I will be watching that tomorrow.
But all of those people are Z-list because they haven't met Michael.
Very true. That's our level now. 3 lucky people in this cast will ascend from the low-life status that they currently have of being Z-list to solidly C-list when they meet me. If they ask me quiz questions, maybe they go a little bit higher than that. But they will lock their place in as C-listers as soon as they meet me in 3 weeks. So, Previously, the Final Seven celebrated Loi Krathong, where Hilde and Sarah danced while the others prepared for a dragon boat race. At the ancient temple complex of Ayutthaya, Els popped a balloon to try and earn an advantage, but unfortunately for the scores of people who suspected her, it all blew up in her face as she was the fourth person sent home. And we begin with a chef cooking and the mole's order being ready. The courier is wearing a motorbike outfit, and we see that it's in Grimbergen, and the package that they are transporting is a bomb.
Grimbergen, is that like an alternate universe to Bergen, Norway?
Yeah, it's Bergen, Norway, but everyone wears a felt goatee.
It's Bergen, Norway, but I'm there.
Yeah, that would have been a better joke, really, wouldn't it? It is day 10 in Ayutthaya, and they are now driving to Chonburi. It's a long journey, and for the first time this trip, they are heading to the coast, and we finally get to see Nimrod dance.
We see a lot of things involving Nimrod this episode.
I joked about this with Fuzzy, but she's going to have a hell of a time picking the banner this week because it's obviously going to be Hilde themed, but there are so many Hilde potential banners this week.
I like how everyone nicknames him Nimmy, which I'm pretty sure was a tribe in one of the new era seasons of Survivor.
If it isn't, it absolutely should be a merge tribe at some point. You're a Canadian, you can get on Survivor. Name the merge tribe, that's honest.
Yeah, name it Nimmy.
You might have a better chance of getting on that than Big Brother Canada or Amazing Race Canada at this point.
Yeah, just learn French. I could do it.
Now I was thinking you can get on American Survivor, can't you?
Yeah, I can apply for American Survivor, yeah.
As a token Canadian.
Do you hate yourself that much, though?
Oh, we've established he hates himself. It's the level of self-loathing that we need to establish at this point.
Yeah, rock bottom self-esteem.
You've met me though. You're at least C-list on us.
Yeah. I'm not nothing.
I've met Logan, so that makes me D-list.
D-list is your favourite place to be honest.
Yeah.
So after a quick dip in the ocean, they head to
Which was too salty.
Don't say too salty after a joke that Bindles is on the D-list, please.
Pineapple, Logan.
So after a quick dip in the deeply salty D-list ocean, they head to a deeply unsubtle place named Drop Zone Thailand, otherwise known as a skydiving company.
Yeah. That's what Gilles said. Should have said. It's like, yeah, there we go. I said drop zone. We get our sponsorship money. Okay, now on to the task.
I mean, we will get to this later in the episode, but did you notice the deeply subtle sponsorship that we actually had in this episode?
Was it the action figure company?
No, it was in the gas station challenge. The entire challenge was sponsored by Frisk, who are a mint company.
Oh.
I think Hilde took the sponsor name a bit too literal in this in the gas station challenge.
Well, we have had freebies from Frisk before at the finales because I have a pack of Frisk in my cupboard as a result of last year's finale. But yeah, there were Frisk on the counter in the gas station. The screen with the money counting down had a Frisk surround on it. There was loads of Frisk hidden in that challenge. It was nice and subtle. So, Gilles tells them they can earn €5,000, but there is a surprise waiting for them first. Inside are miniature versions of their loved ones, and Hilde immediately cries upon seeing that her daughter has been shrunk to the size of a Bindles.
Honey, I Shrunk the Counting Dots. I really wish we had one of those super obscure family or friend relationships this time.
Yeah, they were all a bit too normal, weren't they?
Yeah, partner, sibling, child, spouse. Yeah.
I've just thought of this. Occasionally these sort of things come back at the finale. Is there a chance that there will be like a 3D printing miniature booth at the finale? Because it's a thing.
Oh yeah, they're totally gonna do. It'll probably be the miniature version of the mole.
Logan, you're not allowed to 3D print a horse.
Gilles just going to come over to us and go, right, who am I mocking this year? Also, here are your past Fragan and Bryce Delling. Also, here's a miniature horse on us. We know what you're going to do with this.
It's like I'm surprised they haven't 3D printed a Buddha yet this season.
I mean, they could 3D print a Buddha, but there is a vacancy now, so that maybe they've 3D printed a Poker Bear.
Yeah.
Yeah, has Gilles been rounded up to the conclave?
I don't think the conclave's for a few weeks, so he might end up missing the finale as a result of it, actually.
Yeah. And remember, if you cut the wrong wires, you get the black smoke.
So each of the 3D printed dolls have an inbuilt speaker that they can speak to their loved ones through. When the courier arrives, the connection breaks and the loved ones are all together in Vilvoorde. Food is delivered, but so is a ticking time bomb, and all they have to do is cut 3 wires, but to find out which 3, the candidates must identify them. 2 of them will be jumping, while 4 will answer quiz questions, and they choose Alexy and Michelle as the jumping pair, only to find out that the other 4 will be jumping out of a plane.
Yeah, that's quite the trick they had. Who wants to jump?
You know how we've been waiting 4.5 weeks at this point for this fucking show moment? This is a this fucking show moment.
Yes, it is.
This is one of the best fake outs they've ever done, I think.
Also, can we just point out that what Alexy misses most about home is potato chips?
Yeah, maybe it's a clue that they were having potato chips by the end of the episode.
Yeah, I was about to say, it all came full circle. Bags of potato chips. Because they certainly did not take a liking to the squid snacks.
So the other 4 who will be answering the quiz questions will be skydiving, and each of them will get up to 8 questions about their loved ones. If they get all of them correct, then the colour that they reveal at the end will be a correct wire to cut. They answer by giving either a thumbs up or a thumbs down.
This challenge really doesn't favor those who have wrinkly skin on camera.
Yeah, we get the delight of Pedro and Hilde doing this challenge, and neither of them get very flattering camera angles out of this.
I really wish I was on the trampoline instead right now.
I mean, at least it's not as unflattering as like the shot of them all running into the water at the start of the episode, where somehow Nimrod is like an entirely different skin color than everyone else.
He's so pale. I know I'm skipping forward to the end of this episode with Hilde obviously going and it being heartbreaking and all that sort of stuff, but thank God we got her in this episode because she carries it.
Yes, she did.
She carries this episode on her back, along with Nimrod.
This is maybe the best one episode performance from anyone on Belgian Mole. And I'm not even being hyperbolic there. Like, I cannot think of a better one episode performance from anyone in Belgium. Maybe Michael Mons in half of the episodes last season, but I can't think of anyone who really came close apart from that.
I think just her. What made me laugh this episode is when they received the miniature versions of their loved ones and realizing it's a phone, and you just see Hilde holding this miniature figure and just crying holding it.
She holds it up to her ear as well, like it's an
Yeah.
actual phone.
It's like, Hilde, no, you can hold it. Hold it out in front of you, Hilde.
So Michelle and Alexy are working at the same time, and when Michelle hits a target that Alexy's holding up using a paintball gun, the jumpers' parachutes will open and their questions will stop. The earlier they hit the target, obviously the less questions that get asked, and the more likely it is that they will answer all of them correctly. Did you also spot the Wilhelm scream in this episode?
Yes.
It was quite a subtle one for this show.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was as Pedro was falling, it was just kind of in the background of the music was a little Wilhelm scream. And Michelle struggles to keep the target in the air as well.
Oh, during the second round? Yeah, that was very moly. Very moly.
I did get a big laugh of Nimrod in the middle of the skydive, basically just talking to his jump master, being like, "Why do you do this?"
There were some very fun interactions between the contestants and their jump masters because Hilde was like, "And how many times have you done this?" He's like, "Oh, 14,000, mate," because he was proper Australian. If you couldn't tell, that was an Australian accent. And she's like, "Oh, we'll be safe then." It's like, hopefully.
He had the chance to say over 9,000, and he didn't take it. All in the name of being precise.
One of them had a very English one as well. I can't remember who that was. I think that might have been Nimrod, actually.
I wonder what the guy who has jumped 14,000 times, like, does he have a spreadsheet?
Not to spoil the joke, but I think you have to have done over 5,000 hours of jumping to be able to do it solo, I think.
Or you can be a contestant on a reality show and do it on your first day.
Yeah, very true. That normally wouldn't be allowed. I think generally you have to have logged a certain amount of hours of tandem before you can do any solo skydiving.
Fair enough.
I was thinking 14,000 jumps, 365 days in a year.
Yeah, it's 14,000 jumps. So he's, I mean, let's be honest. This guy looked like he basically lived in a camper van in Thailand.
He still does.
He's probably not done much for the past few years other than that.
He goes backpacking in Pai 4 times a year.
Yeah, I have a feeling he probably went there on schoolies and then never left.
I do love that they made a big deal of switching the location this week, and then the first 2 challenges we get a random airport and a petrol station.
Yeah, and there's no beachiness at all in this episode apart from them running into the water and Nimrod being really pale. That's literally the only bit of this that actually is relevant to them moving to the Gulf of Thailand. I'm sure it'll be different next week or the week after, but this week, yeah, they literally could have done that anywhere in Thailand.
And their challenge was through a jungle.
Yeah, which, again, you wouldn't necessarily associate off the top of your head with the Gulf of Thailand, because you'd think water.
That's usually what a Gulf means, Michael.
Well, yeah, that's kind of the point.
Maybe they were going to do the idea of doing a task on the water. They figured the highest rating they could get from that was 7.8 out of 10 from the audience.
Oh god, maybe that's why there's a golf challenge next week.
Yeah, maybe. I've also just remembered there was one more story you were going to tell on the podcast, Bindles, that we discussed last week.
I had a co-worker. It's basically been on holiday in Europe for a couple of months.
I swear this is 100% true, by the way. Someone knows what he's about to tell you.
So I had a co-worker who's been on holiday in Europe for a couple of months, came back last week, the week before, and we're sitting there and going through all of the travel photos and everything during a quiet moment at work. And it turns out she went to Iceland. And you know that weird penis museum in Iceland?
The Iceland Phallological Museum.
That's the one.
No, but I do now.
We did joke off air about maybe telling you that it was a major tourist attraction in Reykjavik.
More like Reykjavik.
Well, wait a few more seconds.
So show me all the photos, and we get to the bit where she's talking about Iceland. And she's like, "Oh, I went to the penis museum," and she's showing me, photos of the exhibits and all that sort of stuff. And I'm like, "Okay, well, that's a dick, etc." And
Bindles is like, "This is too close to home. I'm used to just swiping through these."
Yeah, swipe left. Why? Usually, I swipe left on these photos.
So, going through all of the photos, and then all of a sudden, I just see one that, like, she skims right past, and I get to go back to it. And it turns out, this is genuinely true, there is a map bar exhibit in the Iceland Phallological Museum.
What?
And yes, it is the map bar, because Bindles sent me the picture.
Like, it has his name attached to it.
Yes.
Oh, it has a plaster cast attached to it.
Yeah, this museum is quite notable for having casts of various famous people's dicks and various animal dicks. And it appears that our good friend Matthew Barr either has been to Iceland or couriered a cast of his own penis for a museum.
Wow.
And not to be that guy, but you do kind of wonder about the logistics of this, because did he go to Iceland and do it? Did he have to do it in London and then get it airmailed over?
I hope there's no tariffs.
And I'm assuming they basically had to get a block of papier-mâché or whatever and then stick his dick in it.
He's just at home by himself. Yep, sending it right over. I'm gonna FedEx it.
I've heard of Cloner Willy, but not in this context.
Yeah, you should get it in 3 to 5 business days.
And then the rest of it will come 3 to 5 business days after that.
Yeah, I'm afraid I had to send it in 2 parcels for, obvious reasons.
Yeah. You'll have to assemble it together. It's like the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah, Bindles wasn't sure whether he was going to tell you that story last week, and I'm like, no, this is definitely podcast worthy. It's hilarious. So yeah, it appears that our good friend Matt Barr has gone international.
And then that's funny though. Like, yeah, I know that guy.
Yeah, Bindles is just swiping through, and he's like, I'm used to recognizing dicks when I swipe through the photos, but still.
Yeah, this woman doesn't know it yet, but she's on the D list.
To be clear, there was a photo of him on the plaque. Like, I didn't recognize the
foot-long dick. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is worth clarifying that It was a photo of our good friend Matt Barr on the plaque, not necessarily a cast of his penis.
Yes. I also will say I did crop out the dick before I sent the photo to Michael.
And I appreciated that, thank you. I have unfortunately seen the pictures in the metro.
Yeah.
So when everyone lands, they get CCTV of their loved ones. Each of them gets a colour, and if they get everything right, it will be one of the right ones to cut. Hilde goes first, and she gets yellow. And if she is wrong, then it will set the bomb off, and she was 100% correct. Pedro says he thinks he made a mistake. He doesn't know how old his mother-in-law is. They volunteer Nimrod to go next, and he gets red. Gilles tells us he doesn't have to pick the colour that he sees, but he does indeed, and the paint bomb goes off directly in Pedro's wife and Alexy's brother's faces, meaning no money of €5,000 for the pot.
They're having a smurfing good time.
Ah!
And it helps that Pedro's wife's name is Ruth.
Yes. I mean, this was a very good shot on both of those people. Especially as they made Alexy's brother wear a black suit. Like, that was just mean.
All he has to do is blink towards the camera like a freaking Wile E. Coyote character. But seriously, a decade later, and another Ruth gets paint bombed.
Yeah. These things all come full circle.
I think my favourite thing about this challenge is the bit afterwards where Gilles goes over the answers they got wrong.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, Hilda, you were fine. Sarah, you were fine. Nimrod, your brother is a fat ass. And Pedro, your mother-in-law is way too old.
Is she old?
What Pedro should have been asked is your mother-in-law above or below the half-brand courtiers line? Can she bleat? But yeah, this just then sets up the wonderful scene of Nimrod speaking to his brother in the evening and just being like, dude, you're so fat.
Yeah. What are you going to do with the money if you win, Nimrod? I'm going to buy my brother a personal trainer.
Oh, Zempic. Yeah, I know our good friend Michelle Pierce Donovan hates family visit episodes, but I love them on België because they're almost always insane in some capacity.
Yeah.
We've never just had a normal family visit episode. It's always something like the weird Vietnam screens or paint bomb blowing up in their faces.
It helps that a lot of the time the loved ones basically just use it as an opportunity to dunk on their players on national TV.
Yeah, it's very rare that the players actually dunk on their loved ones like Nimrod. It's usually the other way around.
Like Nimrod tells his brother, why haven't you hugged anybody else?
And they all huggers over there too.
But this is what I mean about this show being so brilliant. That just perfectly sets up the second challenge where Nimrod is deeply uncomfortable at Hilda's displays of affection towards him.
Yeah. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
I just loved that shot of Nimrod at the pool in episode 2 was foreshadowing now.
Yeah. And presumably the daughter that we saw is the one that she wanted to set Nimrod up with. Because she was about the right age, I think. I think Hilda said it was the 25-year-old daughter, so presumably that's the one that she wanted to set Nimmy up with, which is hilarious.
Or was also funny too is Pedro being so smug. Yep, I knew the exact number of years we have been together. That's why I got that question right. We've been together 22. Oh, it's 21.
And I know you're lying to me because you don't call me darling. You usually call me love.
It's just so brilliant that they didn't let the loved ones wash the paint off before they had the phone call.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was thinking about the timing of this because Thailand is 7 hours ahead of the UK, I think, so it would have been 6 hours ahead for them. So if they were doing this in the afternoon, it would have been probably at 10 o'clock-ish in the morning and they were being force-fed Thai food and then being sprayed in the face with paint.
Well, it would have been around sunset because it was golden hour when they blew up the bomb.
Yeah, so maybe it was lunchtime that they gave them the Thai food then. Maybe it was about 12 o'clock and then it was 6 o'clock for them. But even then, that would have been a bit late. It was probably about 11 o'clock in the morning that the loved ones had to get there for, I'd guess. So, Hilda's daughter, Alexy's brother, Pedro's wife, Nimrod's brother, and Michelle's boyfriend all think that their loved ones could be the mole. And Sarah's husband says that she's far too competitive to ruin things purposefully. Interesting.
Yep.
And it is day 11 in Sriracha, and they get a floating breakfast in the pool. Sarah and Alexy decide to test how much weight they can put in the tray before it sinks, and they get Hilde to sit in it, and it immediately sinks. Because apparently, like Nimrod's brother, she's a fat ass.
Not only does it sink, but she nearly bonks her head on the side of the pool.
Yeah.
She nearly gets a concussion and bruised ribs in the span of one episode.
I'm so gutted that we don't get to meet Hilde, I'll be honest. Like, even if she wasn't the mole, even if she just was the losing candidate or something, I wanted us to have to interact with her because she's such a delightful weirdo.
Yeah.
I'm glad Alexy didn't take it one step further with this tray should be able to hold 100 kilograms. Wait, Hilde sank while sitting in this tray, therefore Hilde must be over 100 kilograms.
I mean, it couldn't possibly be that it was a wobbly plastic tray.
No, definitely not. So they make a quick pit stop at a gas station, and the drivers send in one candidate each to tell them the pump number. And if it wasn't suspicious enough, as I said earlier, it has Frisk mints on the counter, and the radio is playing Anna by Clouseau. This show's favourite song.
Well, they already had Willie Summers the other week.
Yeah, good point. It's like a greatest hits season, this, isn't it? And they're greeted as the 4,000th customers and are given 4,000 euros as a result. They have a cash clock counting down the prize money as the attendants fill up the car's tanks, and the candidates in the cars are locked in and given the message toot on noon and toot on love respectively. To stop the cash clock, they have to honk their horns when their word is played in the shop. And then we just get the single challenge tour de force that is Hilde being a weirdo.
It's so cute that you think it's only one challenge where that happens.
This is peak Hilde, this challenge.
Yeah.
I think she was just using it as an excuse to make out with a younger dude.
And a steering wheel.
Yeah, and a steering wheel. I don't know which one she liked more. Yeah, and then the cushions, and then the lock on the side of the door, then the window, then the wall.
It's very good that the BMWs are wipe clean, is all I have to say.
Yeah. I don't know how BMW felt about that part of the advertising.
It does explain why they weren't allowed to drive themselves, though, doesn't it?
BMW, a car where women over 100 kilograms want to have sex with.
Hilde absolutely couldn't have been trusted to drive the BMW given her performance in this challenge. She'd be driving through the streets of Bangkok just getting really turned on when an indicator goes on, that sort of thing.
You know, like, people say reality TV is a waste of your life, but, like, I just watched a 57-year-old Belgian psychiatrist make out with a steering wheel in a Thai gas station parking lot to win less than 4,000 euros. Like,
yeah.
This fucking show.
And she doesn't even get to win that money. That money is for someone else to take home.
So Michelle and Pedro are the ones in the gas station, and they can find tips to help the others, but they do cost money from the cash clock. They take the cheapest tip for 100 euros in the form of 3 famous Anns. And Hilde thinks that one of them is Selena Gomez.
She was like that the whole episode. Selena Gomez, Ariana Grande. No, it's not Ariana Grande, Hilde. No, it's Ariana Grande. No?
Didn't she say that earlier in the season at one point as well? Was that one of the guesses in the Dragon Tower or something?
I can't remember, to be honest. Probably. It's like she's basically studied all of youth pop culture and just gone, Selena Gomez, it's got to be right one time.
It's a 50-50 coin flip. Heads, it's Ariana Grande. Tails, it's Selena Gomez. That's what these kids listen to these days, right?
Maybe she just watched Only Murders in the Building right before leaving and was like, oh, yeah, that's a really good show. I'm obsessed with Selena Gomez now. Because it was this season that had Only Murders music in it, was it not? Or was that with him?
I don't remember.
I think it was one of the first couple of episodes of this season had some music from Only Murders in. Because I remember pointing it out, I just can't remember whether it was this or Vidum.
Yeah.
So they open another hint, which is the album cover for the single, and that is 250 euros off the cash clock, and nobody recognises it. And they then open the most expensive hint, the lyrics, for 500 euros. Sarah and Alexy solve the challenge, but Hilde and Nimrod don't, and she instead suggests basically kissing Nimrod a lot and giving him a hug.
Not only do they not recognise the album cover, Hilde thinks it's the Backstreet Boys and Sarah thinks it's the Beatles, which is about as far apart from each other as you can get.
Yeah, somewhere dead center is probably where Clouseau actually sit.
I like how the Backstreet Boys guess, though. The only way you're guessing Backstreet Boys is if you have no idea who the Backstreet Boys are.
I
Yeah.
wish Nimrod had turned around to her and, when she said Backstreet Boys and just gone, Backstreet Boys, tell me why.
And if the car could talk, it'd be like, I don't want it that way.
It certainly was, because my next line is, Hilde basically has sex with the steering wheel at this point.
And she didn't even use protection.
Like, Pedro and Michelle were super sus in this challenge for not going straight for the lyrics. Because neither of the other two hints are that useful to get them the money for this challenge. You find the lyrics straight away, you sing along, and you get the money quickly that way. The fact that they waited so long to unlock the lyrics is really suspicious for both of them.
Yeah.
So, Alexy and Sarah get them to hold the right lyrics up as they're sung, and everyone finally gets it, but they aren't at the right pace, repeatedly. And they finally get it with €1,490 left on the clock. And because this isn't Vidum and they aren't beholden to notes, they actually get €1,490 of 4,000 for the challenge.
I know it took Pedro and Michelle forever to get the cue cards out. But it also took the cars a long time to work out they needed to signal what they had to do to the shop.
Yeah.
Like-
I think Hilde was better than Alexy and Sarah were at that.
Yeah.
Like, Hilde was trying in her own deeply disturbing and special way.
Could you not just, like, hold the horn down for 3 minutes and then it would cover the right word and then you'd stop?
I think that was probably expressly banned.
Can you imagine?
Because presumably they've taken over this gas station for a little while at least.
Yeah.
Like, that would be seriously irritating for anyone else around.
But the whole idea of the challenge, though, is that they had to figure out what the challenge was. So that I would, because I had the same thought too. I bet they could just honk the horn as much as they want, but it's just I bet just because of the time crunch and the countdown that they just didn't compute that as a potential strategy.
I'm assuming on the screens it also, when Hilde, let's be honest, started honking too much, just said, "Shut the fuck up, please. Give it a rest, Hilde."
I like Pedro and Michelle watching out the window though, and Pedro's just like, are Hilda and Nimrod making out?
Yeah, because all they could see was just steamy windscreens at that point. Like, they couldn't see anything of Hilde and Nimrod. It was just a steamed up windscreen with a heart in it. Oh god, I'm gonna miss Hilde. She's such a unique person. So they then celebrate with some interesting local crisp flavors, and Gilles appears as they say, "It smells worse than it tastes."
Is that referencing the squid or Jill?
Well, that's what I mean. He seems to be summoned by the phrase, "It smells worse than it tastes."
Mm.
Well, to recap, I believe they had beer, potato chips, squid, and Pepsi, I believe is what they said.
Oh no, like it wasn't like potato chips, squid, and Pepsi. It was squid and Pepsi chips.
Yeah, it was.
Oh! I didn't know that was all combined into one flavor.
Yeah, they were pretty rank crisp flavors, unfortunately.
Squids? Pepsi squid. I did not see that when I was in Thailand. I'm going to look for that.
I will say, like, I know the point was, oh, these flavors are gross, but then Nimrod said he just wanted paprika, and I'm like, that's also kind of weird. Like, I get that that's, a Belgian thing in the way that prawn cocktail is to the UK, but paprika? Like, what?
Yeah, paprika chips are quite common in Asia, right? From what I remember. Because I usually see it in a lot of places. I think I've only bought it like once.
Just purely as an aside, nicest crisps you've ever had? We have, after 550 episodes, got to this low, I'm afraid.
Beef rendang.
Saunders?
My favorite flavor?
Yeah.
Probably Miss Vicky's sea salt and malt vinegar are always is a frequent favorite of mine.
I'm trying to give Fuzzy a hand because she's inevitably going to put food sin or something similar on the bingo card this week. My answer would be specifically the South African Woolworths sea salt and rosemary crisps. They were really good.
Ooh.
When we were in South Africa, we bought these in massive bags. Like, easily kilo bags, and we would get through them on road trips because they were just so Moorish. And unfortunately, they only have like 3 days on the best before, so you can't even get them imported, because I have tried. Terrible for me, but lovely crisps. So Gilles tells them that it is time for the 5th test, but we haven't seen a 3rd challenge or a briefcase yet. And it is time for the test. 20 questions about the identity and actions of the mole. Whoever knows these goes home, except for the mole who can never go home. Hilde says that she thought she'd know what was going on by now, but she's doubting herself and everyone seems suspicious. Nimrod says Pedro and Michelle dropped the signs when they got close. That is a perfect sabotage. Pedro can't imagine that it would have been that difficult to make the connection between the signs and their instructions. Sarah finds it odd that Alexy is so athletic and he's so bad at the boxing and now the paintball shooting. Michelle says there's a mole you'd want to be on the plane because no matter how many questions you get, you can always answer one wrong and then just act confident on the ground like Nimrod did. And Alexy says that Sarah doubted her answers, even though they were right, and she let Nimrod, who was wrong, go ahead of her at the skydiving. They finish their tests with 3 questions for the feature about the fruit walk.
It's funny that they complain about spicy food in Thailand, and the town that they've been in for the past 2 days is called Sriracha.
Yeah, I actually had a note that I changed earlier, basically saying, I wonder what they're going to make them do when I saw Sriracha come up, but then nothing comes of it. I'm like, yeah, it's not that one then. It's not the Sriracha.
They're missing an R.
Yeah. And it is day 12, and they are heading into nature, and they begin a 3-kilometer hike to the Khao Mai Deng, and they are told to bring as many durians to the temple as possible. Each durian will be worth 300 euros if it's brought to the temple within an hour, and they also get a local guide, officially so they don't get lost, but I'm presuming actually so they don't die because of snakes.
It is that sriracha.
Is it?
The internationally renowned sriracha chili sauce is the sriracha Panich brand, which was first sold in 1935. This recipe was created by Tanon Chakapak, a native of Sriracha, who established a chili sauce factory in Sriracha, Chonburi province.
Oh, they're definitely going to make them do something spicy soon then, aren't they?
Yep.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that they'd base them in Sriracha and then not make them do something where it's basically spice roulette.
For some reason, I always thought Sriracha was from India.
No.
Nope. He wrong.
I mean, I could have come up with another answer where I was like, oh yeah, I always thought it was from here, but we know what I'm like with spice. There's no way I would pay attention to Sriracha, is there? Let's be real.
I like how after the very awful odor of the Pepsi flavored squid, that to cleanse their palate, they now get to transport durian. Like, durian is the better alternative of the two.
Durians are fine as long as you don't cut them open, I think, aren't they?
Yeah.
It's the insides that smell like rotting flesh rather than the outsides.
They should have made them cut them open instead of the coconuts.
Yeah. We swear there are clues in there, guys. Come on.
God, they would have stunk for the rest of the hike and the execution.
And the rest of the season.
Yeah.
They would have had a shower in Pepsi flavored squid.
So along the way, they find 2 extra stops to earn extra durians, the first of which is looking for 2 coconut crackers. However, due to the future test, they can't agree on who to send, and eventually they send Nimrod and Alexy. They must choose a real Thai proverb from 6 presented to them. 3 are real and 3 are fake. If they choose a real one, it is worth 5 durians to them, whilst a fake one will lose them 5 durians. To help them out, there are 3 coconuts they can crack, which contain the right answers. However, they decide to just guess and lose 5 durians.
That seems suspicious that they barely even tried with the coconuts, because, like, coconuts, I get they're a little bit difficult to open, but you can get one open in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to be Aussie to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, Hilde leaves us with 4 suspicious people and also Alexy still here. The second one is looking for 2 people with ripe minds, and Hilde claims she's old but not ripe, and they send her and Michelle. They have 5 famous people and must match their names with fruit and eat 1 piece of the fruit that matches each of them. However, they only succeed if the others correctly guess how many of the famous people they identify correctly. If they're right, they gain 5 durians, but if they're wrong, they lose another 5.
It was so nice of them to mention ripe fruit when they were talking about it. And I'm like, no, the dance was last week.
And the challenge only succeeds if the 2 people who are matching it up have not mutually agreed to throw it before the challenge even starts.
I just love that this is a twist when Hilde and Michelle are such bad liars.
Hilda's like, yeah, I don't know those American people. Hallie who?
Halle Banani?
Hallie Apple?
I loved it. Like she was the only American there. Like there was Halle Berry, the president of Italy, and then 3 random Belgians.
One of whom I think does appear on Cafe de Mol fairly frequently. I think Bart Appleton's, I think is his name. He's definitely a Go Play personality, at least. I think he might have something to do with Slim Cements, actually.
Wasn't the president of Italy referenced in the Sicily season?
Yeah, she will have been. Giorgio Meloni's pretty infamous in Europe, shall we say.
Yeah, because I feel like we've had the conversation before. It reminds me of The Office once they get to about season 4 or 5 during Michael's conference room meetings where he starts using the same pictures on the wall. And like, hey, it's the Ben Kingsley picture that you that you used before.
Yeah, she's pretty infamous for basically being the only EU leader who's cozying up to Trump at the moment. So yeah, we see that Hilde and Michelle propose to deal with each other, and they agreed to throw the challenge. Both of them said that the mole carried less than 5 durians across the finish line, and they decide to eat none of the 5 correct items, but are utterly dreadful at throwing this challenge and making themselves really suspicious.
Yeah, Hilda comes back. Yeah, they were super obscure people. And then the other 4 just start reading out the names. It's like, really? You don't know these people that we all know and have heard of? There's Michael Jackson, Paul McCartney, the Pope, Jill DaCosta.
Yeah, Gilles not been in a challenge yet this season. I'm very disappointed at them for not sneaking him in one. He's dropping down from the C list here, worryingly.
Jesus was in this challenge too. You didn't recognize Jesus in the lineup.
Well, he's busy trying to find a new pope name for himself.
Yeah, good point. So the final prior knowledge question provided knowledge that someone would get a personal advantage to be the first to the temple. Nimrod takes off with a few hundred meters, and Hilde falls on her ribs. And then Alexy sprints past him when he gets stuck on a branch, and is the first to reach the temple.
I like how Hilda's just bummed out that she fell. Like, oh no, Hilda, you fell. You were so close to winning that race against Alexy, Nimrod, and then Sarah, who was very much in shape too. Oh, you were so close, Hilda. You were right in the thick of it. Right in the thick of it.
You were so close to beating someone who's super athletic, pasty Nimrod, and really athletic Sarah.
They were shaking in their boots until you fell, Hilda.
So Alexy's advantage is that he can have a look at one of his fellow candidates' answers to the 3 future questions, but if he does, the rest of the time will tick away twice as fast, and he decides to view Pedro's answers.
What a shit advantage, honestly.
That's what I mean. Like, this is why I don't think Alexy is the mole, is that is so blatantly sabotagey if you take that a mole wouldn't do that. It's like, oh yeah, what did you get? Oh, I got 3 questions that have already been answered, so I can't do anything about them. It's such a trap, but it's an obvious trap because they tell him what it's going to be. So the time runs out with just Alexy 3 durians on the altar for a total of 900 euros of 9,000 for the challenge, 2,390 of 18,000 for the episode, and 11,840 of 68,900 for the season so far. Gilles tells them that after 24 hours, their scores are now set. Did someone mould the final challenge to their will? Michelle, Pedro, and Alexy all get green screens before this show is cancelled as Hilde gets the red.
Boo!
Boo!
And she starts kissing the laptop screen, hoping it helps change it from red to green.
I must admit, I did know that Hilde went this week, or I had a suspicion that Hilde went this week because I was looking at Instagram, I know, stupid me, on Monday morning, and I saw a picture that someone had taken with Hilde at Cafe de Mol, and I'm like, well, if she's at Cafe de Mol, she's probably gone home this week. So I had time to, unfortunately, mentally prepare myself, and then, yeah, she had a tour de force exit episode, at least.
Pedro described it as an amputation.
Yeah.
Which I think is a bit extreme.
I know Flanders didn't like Hilde for whatever reason, but
Flanders
are wrong. Yeah, like Hilde is absolutely S-tier casting, and she is going to get a eulogy here because she is everything I want an older woman contestant on this show to be. She's absolutely batshit insane, but she's so enthusiastic and so lovely that it's a terrible shame that she's gone, and it's a terrible shame we don't get to meet her. Well, we might get to meet her, but we're going to have to kind of muscle our way over and go, Hilde, we're big fans.
Yeah. Hilde! Hilde!
Hilde, we love you.
Please stop kissing me.
It's significantly harder for us at this point to get time with Hilde, unfortunately.
Holy Nimrod succeeded.
Yeah, maybe Nimrod can give us an in. He can give us a referral at this point. So she says there was a moment that she wasn't sure and she went the wrong way. Pedro says it's going to be tough and he'll miss out on her warmth. All the superlatives you can think of is what she experienced. She said she wanted a dance challenge and got it, and she's permanently changed how Gilles will look at pumping gas. And the final five realised that they hadn't seen the briefcase this episode, but we flash back to Vilvoorde once more. The mole asked for an earpiece to listen in on the other candidates, which came in handy at the gas station. If they were in the car, they knew when not to honk, and if they were in the gas station, they knew when to mess up. Now, this has been going back and forth a little bit on Discord as to whether they spoiled who had an earpiece and all that sort of stuff.
Mm.
This is absolutely going to come back to bite me. But I am 99.9% sure that both Michelle and Pedro had earpieces in the gas station. If for no other reason, then I don't think it's fair for the cashier in a gas station to have to listen to Anna by Clouseau 35 times. It's perfectly fair for the candidates to have to because it's part of a challenge.
Yeah. What about 36 times?
36 is the legal limit, I'm afraid. I suspect, as I have suspected for a lot of this season, that the briefcase is smoke and mirrors. I think probably everyone had an earpiece of some description, and they just used it as an excuse. It has to be smoke and mirrors because we are the only ones seeing what the mole asked for.
Yeah.
Therefore, it cannot be something that the contestants can have seen themselves, necessarily.
Mm.
It cannot have been something so out of place that the contestants would have spotted it.
Mm.
I'm assuming that Pedro and Michelle had earpieces, and I'm assuming that probably everyone in the car did as well.
Yeah.
And people outside the car who had to hear
Yeah. But I don't know for certain whether the people in the car did, but it certainly looked like Pedro and Michelle both did.
Mm.
I've got a feeling that the briefcase stuff this season is basically just to tease the fans a little bit and to troll us a little bit, sending us off in weird directions.
Yeah. Like, I'm okay with the briefcase. I don't think it's the best twist they've ever done. But, like, it's amazing how much fun this episode was before we got to the briefcase reveal.
Yeah.
Like, I think ultimately it's probably been a little bit of a wait around this season where, there's some really fun ideas, but because we're all just waiting for the briefcase to drop, it's kind of maybe making them not land as well as they otherwise would.
I think the other thing about this season as well is Gilles really wasn't in this episode.
Hmm.
He's usually a lot more integral a part of the seasons. And he appeared for maybe 1-2 minutes total in this episode in an hour
Right.
and 7 or whatever it ended up being. He was not in this episode.
No, well, he does the intro for the skydiving and he's standing around for the bomb, and then it's basically just introducing the test, and that's it.
He walked over to give them to announce they won money.
That was when he told them about the test.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah, I heard you earn money, and then the next time we see him after that is at the execution, after another challenge where they've had to do it all themselves.
So what do you think he did during that downtime?
Well, I don't know. That's the thing. It's really weird because I can't think of another België episode in the nearly 100 at this point that he's hosted where he's done nothing, basically.
Was he playing Fortnite?
I don't know whether he just had a couple of days off or whatever, or I was going to suggest maybe his wife flew out, but I think she would have been far too heavily pregnant at that point.
Would she have been over 97 kilos?
I don't know how big their daughter ended up being, but yeah.
Well, she's not over 62, Logan.
Maybe it was something like his wife flew out and he spent a few days with her or whatever, but there wasn't a lot of Gilles in this episode, and it was noticeable to me.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think I wrote that in there too. He's not. Where's he at?
Because as much as obviously we watch this show for people like Hilde and people like Michael Mons and people like Bart and all that sort of stuff, we unironically love Gilles.
Hmm.
So it's really noticeable when you have two challenges back to back where he doesn't appear at all, really.
Well, he never gets executed, right?
Now, as much as this show is fun, it does most of the time end up being Papa Bear's Magical Mystery Tour. And without Papa Bear, there is no Magical Mystery Tour.
Maybe he was there more, and it was just, well, let's give Hilda her farewell episode and maximize her airtime.
Yeah, maybe.
Because they definitely gave us a lot of Hilda content this week.
A perfect amount of Hilda content, thank you very much.
Oh, no, yeah, I'm not complaining, but I don't think people are going to... at the end of this episode, I'm thinking, oh, yeah, there were 5 other people this episode. And they were all reacting to Hilda. And I gotta say, just I know we already joked about it a bit before, but the cover up for the lie with the fruit task, might be my favorite worst lie ever in any Mole season I've seen. Just being caught within like 0.1 seconds by everybody else saying, that's just where it was such a bad lie that everyone, instead of calling them out saying, you're such a bad liar, it was so bad to the point that they all just had an annoyed reaction to it. Said, no, it's such a, let's just go. We know you're lying. I don't want my intelligence insulted any further by you and Michelle. Let's just keep going.
And not only is it a bad lie on its own, like this stands out as a bad lie, and then last week we had Pedro basically being like, oops, I forgot twice.
Yeah.
I forget it, brother.
Yeah, he knows nothing. He's from Barcelona.
Do you guys want to do a eulogy of Hilda, given that I did a fairly long one on my own?
She got 5 episodes, and it was always a home run every episode.
Yeah. Hilda is... I still think Mikael Mons is my favourite Belgian person ever. Hilda is definitely a close second.
As I said, Hilda is everything we want in casting in this show.
Yes.
Hilda is a one-woman argument against having the average age netmole as 28.75. Which, can I point out, is half of Hilda's age.
She could almost set up one of the average people with Nimrod.
Yeah. She's everything we want. She's just brilliant. So, going into probably the most important week of the season, unfortunately I've lost my second team member on the pool, leaving all my hopes resting on Michelle. Bindles still has Pedro and Nimrod, and Logan has Sarah and Alexy. This is the last week where switches can be used. Does anyone want to be a dickhead and switch live on the podcast?
Are you going to switch?
There is a big golden balloon in the center of us right now. Is anyone going to use their spiky stick?
If anybody has a hidden immunity idol and would like to play it, now would be the time to do so.
Normally I wouldn't make as big a thing of this as I am doing, but Saunders did do this to me during Venom. I have to give him the opportunity to be an absolute knob again. On First Suspicions, 2 people, Febra and Tim, had Hilda as their first suspicion, while 5 people, Joanne, Abe, Jack, Fitz, Femke, and Christina all had her in last place. Elijah also had her in 9, so he gets bonus points too. 11 people now remain in the season with a first suspicion, unfortunately, including both of you. Alice is still bringing up the rear on first suspicions with a score of 30, but she's joined now by Yareen, and Sandra is clinging on to first place with a 2-point lead on 17. You can, as always, do the Bothers Bar Suspect List each week at suspectlist.rtvwarriors.com or at the link in our bio, and the bonus question this week is, did the mole skydive, yes or no? Flanders' suspicions last week were Pedro on 31, Sarah on 21, Michelle on 20, Nimrod on 11, Alexy on 9, and Hilda on 8. And now we come to the final 3 questions of the episode. Who do we suspect? Who's going home? And who will our final 3 be?
Ooh, you question.
Yeah, we're at that point of the season where it's just fun to ask that question. Who do we think we're actually going to be talking to in 3 weeks' time? Or less than 3 weeks' time, actually, but you know what I mean.
Let's see. So my suspect list is Nimrod, Michelle, Alexy, Sarah, then Pedro, then Hilda. I think we're going to say goodbye to... We've said Sarah like 3 weeks in a row.
Yo, you have. I keep saying Alexy.
I should switch. I'll say Pedro goes home. And I think our final three will be Nimrod, Michelle, and Alexy as the final three.
I'm going to say Pedro, Nimrod, Alexy, Sarah, Michelle.
Geller?
I knew that was coming. I don't think it's Sarah, but I also don't want to put her last every week. Just in case. So I'm going to put Michelle underneath her. I'm going to say Michelle's going home next week. And then the final three will be Pedro, Nimrod, Sarah.
Okay. My suspicions this week are Michelle, Pedro, Sarah, Nimrod, Alexy. I think we're saying goodbye to Sarah. And I think our final three, unfortunately for me, because it'll make it really hard suspicions-wise, is probably going to be Michelle, Pedro, and Nimrod. I would quite like one of Michelle or Pedro, preferably Pedro, to go home before final three so that I can actually have a reasonably easy time at the end. But I fear that we're going to have both of them, and probably Nimrod is the winner in the end.
Yeah, don't ruin my chances of winning.
You literally just suspected Michelle's going home next week. That is ruining my chances of winning.
I don't care about you.
Oh, we know. I did think about doing a chaos switch and just, dumping you with Alexy, but I thought that was too mean. I think probably we're going to end up talking to Michelle, Pedro, and Nimrod, to be honest, in the end. But it's a shame it's not Hilde.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say about this episode?
I'm good. It was a fun one.
I had fun.
I'm glad, Saunders. It doesn't happen every time.
Yeah.
I kept fit and had fun.
And now you can fuck off. So, thank you for listening to our Mol België Season 13 recap. We'll be back next week to continue the hunt for the new smolt in Thailand. Don't forget you can contact us on pretty much every social media platform except TikTok, where we are RTV Warriors. I can email us and contact at rtvwarriors.com. You can also support us on Patreon at patreon.com/rtvwarriors. Thank you as always to the Legion of Subtitlers, and we'll see you next week.
Peace out and just chill till the next flavoring.
This hugging show.